What's up, mages? So we are back for another look at why your class should be taken to TBC raids. You'll find on the playlist up there, you can find all the other classes. So if mage isn't your class, you've just stumbled across this video, odds are yours has already been done. I think the only one left to do is hunter. Then we're going to be getting onto some really cool class guides, DPS guides, stuff like that. That's going to be coming up soon. We are streaming over on Twitch pretty much 6 to 7 days a week at the moment. You can check me out on twitch.tv/Scottejaye87. I'll put it down there. I don't mean in my pants, I mean in the description, obviously. So you can just go down, click on it, come give me a follow, check me out in the evening, streaming from sort of 7 GMT till late. I don't really put a finish time on it. It just depends how long I can keep my eyes open for and what we're actually doing in game at the time. So yeah, definitely check that out. So we're gonna get into the specifics of what spells, what abilities you bring to raids. But first, for those of you, it's your first time watching, and you've not seen me on stream before, then you don't know that I'm always playing with a deck of cards. Always playing with a deck of cards. That's why we've got Spade on the jumper as well. Bit obsessed. So I'm going to show you the power of a mage with a card trick. Okay, mages, this is going to be super quick. Just while I'm giving the deck a shuffle, I'll just tell you exactly what's going to be going on here. So we're going to try and find 4 of a kind from a shuffled deck. The way we're going to do it is I need you to catch me. I need you to see where I'm doing naughty things. And what I mean by that is don't blink. So you're a mage, you use blink all the time in game. I don't want you blinking out of game or you're going to miss it. So we want 4 kings from a shuffled deck. And it's like you probably just blinked, which if you did blink, stop it for the next one because you just missed 1 king. So that's 1 king. And then from the middle of the deck, probably that card there, that's our 2nd king. Just make sure you can see that in focus. So that, that's all nice. Let's take one from the middle again. Let's take that one. And that's going to be our 3rd king. So now we've got 3 kings. We need 1 more king. Oh, all right, it's 4 diamonds. But again, don't blink whatever you do, because if you blink, you just miss the obvious all the time. So that's 3. We need 1 more. I'll tell you what. Let's give the deck a shuffle again. A good thorough shuffle. I'm gonna lose some cards here. Doesn't really matter. But get the deck nicely shuffled up and just don't blink. So watch. I'm gonna cut the pack roughly halfway. I'm then gonna fan these out. And we're gonna hopefully, and I say hopefully, basically try and find the king. So remember, just don't blink. Whatever you do, don't blink. Watch. And then there's our last king. So I hope you didn't blink, and I hope you saw everything I've done there, because then you can copy me, and you'll be able to do fantastic card tricks for your family. I'm only kidding. Okay, mages, I hope you enjoyed the card trick. If you skipped just straight through it, don't worry, you didn't miss a lot anyway. It was just a bit fun, They weren't very intricate, but just a few quick sort of snap colour changes and stuff. So we'll get into the video, but before we do, just thank you. I do thank Warshall, the paladin who on Endless, who sent me the video to use in the paladin video, and this is actually my brother's footage, so thanks Stu for the mage video. Saves me a lot of time, these guys sending me over footage, which is much appreciated. It means I can get more content out. So we'll start with Arcane Brilliance. Fairly straightforward one, don't really need to waste time talking about it. Obviously you want it in a raid. 40 intellect for your casters is big, it's nearly as good as a flask. You're used to having this ability in Classic, so it's nothing new. It's just your standard mage buff. So we don't need to talk about that too much. Then we've got Dampen Magic. Now, Dampen Magic is quite an interesting one. So you've got Dampen and you've got Amplify, and they both have the complete opposite effect. And there's generally a use case for the 2 abilities on a boss by boss encounter. So this one decreases the amount of damage taken by spells, but it also decreases the amount of healing you receive. So if you're going to have people who are going to be taking small amounts of spell damage, not massive amounts of healing, so it could be constant AoE for you guys playing Classic or was on private servers. Sapphiron's a good example of one where it's constant sort of pulsing spell damage. This could be sort of the route you want to go down. Or then you've got Amplify Magic, which is the opposite. So now it increases the damage you take by spells, but also increases the healing received by up to 240. Now this one's a no-brainer. So for purely physical fights, having this on the tank, you absolutely should have it on the tank. Maybe the entire raid. If you've got a couple of mages, it can be a bit of a pain. It doesn't last too long, So you might want to have 2 mages sort of getting all these buffs up, but definitely like on the tanks if you're going to take 0 spell damage. Good example, I'd try to give example of boss fights specifically. A good one would be Gruul, for example. Gruul, it's all purely physical, nothing else. So you really want to amplify magic on as many people as physically possible that you can keep it up on. But yeah, generally, as I say, there is a use case for amplify or dampen on most bosses, even if it's not for the entire raid and it's only for a certain class or certain role. Then you also bring Ritual of Refreshment, so everyone knows you are the water boy, the water boy or the water girl. Sorry. So you summon a table that's got 50 charges of water on there, 20 stacks each, and it's the good water as well. You want water. The amount. If you actually think about a 25-man raid, how much gold would have to be spent across those 25 people on water if you don't bring mages is ludicrous. But you're generally going to have a good 2 mages minimum, I would say, in a 25-man raid. In a 10-man, it's nice to have one just for the water, but I must admit, if you've been watching me streaming recently, you'd see that our raid group rarely has a mage in, but we do have a mage ult that we pull over, and we get a table up, so we're at least got food and drink before we go in. I'm not saying that's all you're useful for, mages. Obviously, you're far more useful than just water. But at the moment, our hunters and warlocks and stuff are just doing more damage, which you won't be pleased to know. Polymorph, obviously, not a lot to say about Polymorph. It's a great CC. It can be used, on humanoids, beasts, critters. Don't know why you would be sheeping critters, really, but yeah, beasts and humanoids. It's one of the strongest CCs in the game for humanoids, without a doubt. It's an iconic mage ability, but always nice to have in a raid. For those mobs that are actually CCable, that is. Portals. Now, you underestimate the use of portals and the amount of time they save, even in a raid. There's certain raids where you haven't got the luxury of just being able to pop outside and repair, or repair inside the raid. And you'll have your warlock stay back, open a portal, people go out, repair quickly, get summoned back. The saved time for the raid overall can be quite useful, specifically on progression. If you've got stuff on farm, you don't expect to, need to repair. But if you haven't got an engineer with repair bots, blah, 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 then portals can save time. But they can also save time just in getting to the raids. Yeah, there's lots of benefits to having a mage just for the portaling around. Then control. So the next couple of abilities, we're just talking about control. And if you're a classic player, mage control is immense. So Frost Nova and Blizzard are what we're going to specifically talk about. So you only really need to use rank 1 Frost Nova because the damage increase is negligible and it still has the same control effect. It's, and then a ridiculously low amount of mana as well. But you overall, if you're having to kite ads, or the tank dies and you've got ads running all over the place, a Frost Mage can pretty much solo large packs of melee mobs with ease. So just the amount of control that a mage brings is big. It's worth mentioning. And again, to give you some specific examples, the rooms in the ballroom before Morrows, so between Ataman and Morrows, they're horrible pools. If you use hunters and mages to kite and not even worry about tanking them, it can make life a hell of a lot easier. Then we've got Spell Steal. Now this is massive, and I say this is massive because there's some really, really awesome spell stealable buffs in TBC. I'll be honest with you, mainly in dungeons, but without Spell Steal, hiking Mulgar, for example, you use a mage tank, and the reason you use a mage tank is because of Spell Steal. So you Spell Steal a shield that reduces the amount of damage you take, which enables you to tank and take the big hits to the face. So Spell Steal is really good, and the thing is as well, when you're doing bosses where you need a magic debuff dispelled off of the mob, then why just purge it or dispel magic if the mage can get some useful effect out of it for a couple of minutes as well? So Spell Steal, amazing. So the next few abilities, this video is not going to be very long, I'll be honest with you. So the next few abilities are from talents. Basically, one from Arcane, one from Frost, one from Fire. Now, slow for Arcane, there will be uses for it. You probably won't take it in a standard PvE Arcane build, but there could be, I wanted to include it because there could be somewhere where you're going to be the one who kites, because it's instant, no cooldown, you can just keep it up 100% of the time. There's loads of slows in the game, so I was hesitant about including this because, I'm trying to give unique things you bring to the raid, and there's lots of people who can slow. But it's still good. It's from your talents. You may choose to take it for specific fights where you're doing something special. The options there. As I say, my preference as a PvE arcane mage, I probably wouldn't even put slow in the spec, but it is an option. So then improve Scorch from fire. So your Scorch spells have a 100% chance to cause the target to be vulnerable to fire damage. This vulnerability increases the fire damage taken by 3%. Stacks up to 30,001 times. I have a feeling that tooltip might be wrong. So it stacks 5 times. So up to 15%. So it's 15% extra fire damage. So this is very nice. As in you instantly think, well, a couple of fire mages get this up quick, and then they're going to keep it up nice and easy. You maybe just have one of the mages, then just keep it refreshed while the other one can just pump damage. But it's buffing more than that. It's not just fire mages that are going to benefit from this. So keeping Flame Shock up as a shaman, obviously, is part of the enhancement rotation, so you're going to be buffing that. Fire Totem will be buffed. There are other fire abilities that can be affected by this in a positive way. I should probably mention Destruction Warlock. There's fire spells as Destruction, so there is even a Fire Destro build. I'm not saying it's better than Shadow, but this could potentially make it better than Shadow if you've got this, but you haven't got Shadow Priest in the group. So who knows? That's for a different video. But still, that's from the Fire Tree, which is very nice. And then for the Frost talent, so Winter's Chill. Again, you all know about Winter's Chill, and this does not stack 15,001 times. Don't know what's wrong with these database tooltips. But yeah, 100% chance to apply Winter's Chill, which increases the chance your Frost spells will critically hit by 2%. So stacks 5 times, so 10% crit. Now, this really is... I couldn't think of a use case for other classes. You're welcome to tell me in the comments that I'm wrong, but this is mainly for Frost mages. I know Shamans get Frost Shock and stuff like that, but it's not part of the... I can't think of any Frost abilities for any class that's actually part of the rotation, standard PvE rotation. So this is only for Frost mages, and you won't see Frost mages raiding that much. It's going to be fire or arcane predominantly. Maybe an arcane Frost sort of hybrid-y spec. I know that works quite well as well. So, but overall, yeah, this is really only for Frost Mage, so it's not overly useful. But again, I wanted to mention it, so you've got all of your options, and what you bring to the raid. So overall, I think a mage does bring quite a lot to the raid. Don't get me wrong, there may be some things that I've left out, and you may question why I've left them out. There's things like Ice Block, which technically, even though it's a personal cooldown, survivability cooldown, it does bring stuff to the raid, because there's certain mechanics you can cheese a little bit by, using Ice Block the same way as a Paladin would Bubble, stuff like that. But, I've sort of left that out, trying to be really focused on exactly what sort of raid-wide effects that you bring, or sort of things, utility. So like Polymorph, for example, yeah, it doesn't directly buff anybody in the raid or anything like that, but technically it can increase raid DPS, because if you're CCing a target, now you've got pure single target on a mob, priority targets are dying quicker. There's a lot of benefits to bringing a solid CC to a raid. Unfortunately, you won't get to use it that much in Karazhan, because the majority of them are undead or demon, but still, further on in the expansion, you're going to find a lot of uses for Polymorph, especially in heroic dungeons. So my opinion, again, it's my opinion, so please, well, feel free to shoot me down if you want to shoot me down, but there's no point, because I'm not saying this is fact, I'm just telling you what I think. Mages are great, mages are solid. You will want one at least in the raid. I'm not saying, in a 10-man raid you will take a mage. We do run with a mage now and again, but the way we've got our groups split at the moment, one of the groups tends to not have a mage, but we still get water. So for water, for Arcane Brilliance, for Dampen or Amplify, whichever way around you want to, whichever way around you're going to be putting it on, and just sort of their control, their damage is great. So single target, they do really, really competitive damage. Obviously, their AoE is always strong, not as strong as a Warlock Seed of Overpowered Corruption, but they can still keep up. And they're fun to play. I had a blast playing on a fire mage. Like, absolutely love fire. Even if it's not the best raid inspector B in tier 4, I still love it. Because obviously you've got low amounts of crit, can be a bit of an issue, but it's still really, really fun. So yeah, to round up, absolutely, you've seen why you would bring a raid to a mage, or a mage to a raid, a mage to a raid. That's what I meant. So you've seen why. They do good damage. You know, you've probably seen some big crits on the little video playing over there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I say, wasn't meant to be very long. Just a quick sort of overview of what abilities you bring to a raid in TBC. I keep saying that, but you know that's what it is. So if you did like it, make sure you like. Comment, feel free to leave any comments. Come check me out over on Twitch. I'm also live streaming on YouTube every night as well, so I'm doing it on both, but really want to sort of grow that Twitch audience over there, and it's going in the right direction. Everything's going in the right direction, so thank you so much for all your support, both here and on Twitch. And I'll see you on the next one, which we're going to look at what a hunter brings.